country has silenced everybody, and I just want to say people have seen photos and video footage of me. I would love to have these photos of me being fat and ugly on these walls that I've got an ugly face. It says here, represented by the ACLU because world under threat of constant all-encompassing surveillance. I've had surveillance on me a very long time now. It's making it hard to protect human rights. The surveillance machine is thwarting Amnesty's ability to protect people from human rights violations, including government torture, kidnapping, extrajudicially killing people for their non-violent protests. I'm asking who got to see them coming into my room, pulling my ass, and vaginal mutilation of it stretching right open and showing everybody on these gore tapes, and that it's got green gunk coming out to erase me, that I'm not anyone to be caring in a non-democracy, because I would never have these kind of films. This is definitely human rights abuses, to make the bear's steps the same steps as mine. We asked people to tell the horrors they saw. They are witnesses to lone survivors. People are taking personal risk by trying to speak out. So no, I'm going to be punished for speaking out. But my other problem is they're stealing my identity, and I want to tell you I've got a very big depth of research and emotional consciousness through healing other people. I'm not just somebody that's been I'm not just lying about who I am. Do you want to know a story about my counselling journey? In my earlier days, we go through the theory, and that's very interesting, and then we had to start doing the practical, and I had a girl very young, maybe 19. Oh, actually, she might have been 17, and I was I think I was 36 or 35 or something like that, and we had to do, she was my partner for one of these modules about identifying crisis and identifying the level of just identifying if it's how big the trauma is and how fast I can de-escalate it, and if I need to call back up to help. This was part of my training. I just want to say she was very young, and the module just triggered her to a past where she said she started off, we had to draw our own drawings to try and talk about our life, and she'd drawn me this tree, and it had all these, it was a beautiful tree, and then throughout the tree it had gone dark, and it had been torched into darkness. Now this is a metaphor because this is actually what's going on in my life now. So she has this beautiful tree full of colours and happiness connected to her family. She was happy, beautiful, vibrant, loving girl, and she was a beautiful girl, and she was a psychology student at Massey, and we were at Lifeline together, and so she drew me this tree, and she said, this is my tree when I was like a 7-year-old girl. And she goes, and this is my tree when I'm a 13-year-old girl. And she drew the tree, and it was all darkness, and it was coldness, and it looked morbid, it looked depressive, all the colours were dark. And I said, what happened to you? And she said, I had a stepfather who used to sneak in and sexually abuse me every night. And I said, that's horrible. But as our talks went on, I had to ask her a lot of open-ended questions, and I opened a can of worms, and she cried, and basically was clawing my arms, and it was such an intense situation for me, and I could not control my emotions. I started weeping because I could feel the hurt in her that she had been carrying for all that time, and I had to call on the camp counsellor because I couldn't hold it together. It really affected me, and I actually didn't go back to course for 2 weeks. It really impacted me, and they just basically were very quite stern and cold and rational with me, and said that I have to get over it and be very, very calm and clinical because it's her experience in life, it's not my experience, and I just have to guide her through what she needs and not take it on board. But it's very hard to not be human when the girl's clawing at me and trying to hold me, and she was like looking at me like, save me, and it's like she was like this girl wanting a hug, and I couldn't disconnect from how it made me feel. So what's happened is I've had the same thing. I had this beautiful tree, vibrant, full of my family life, full of cooking together, eating together, loving together. My face got ruined with silver, and in this time some crime gangs have shown me sexually in a torture chamber, opening my vagina and ethnic cleansing me with gang rapes to the communities. And I'm trying to teach you what's going on is that it's not right. As much as you can say that this girl is more, I have to tell you that this is privilege and special treatment. I am not a hard, cold person, but in a situation where I've got vultures, you have to disconnect because nobody cares right now. And what's happened is I'm trying to make you understand that this is a war crime. I was never an easy person to have sex with. I'm a very caring, honest person. But during crime and police violence, how can I keep stable? Plus, I've got this French army creating apartheid in every house I go to. They make people sign a document and kick me out. And I've also got lead poisoning. There's one more thing I want to show you. Examples of cruel, inhumane, degrading treatment include carried out by police officers using excessive force, such as using restraints where they are not required. They are blocking me talking or communicating or sharing love. They have put poles up my ass. Using a weapon to punish an offender for not cooperating. That's what happened to me. And I think they just sexually violated me and ruined my vagina. I just want to tell you, you don't believe me, but this is the real clinical terms for what's going on. No one should be subjected to torture, cruel, inhumane, degrading treatment, or punishment. In particular, no one should be subjected without his or her consent to medical or scientific experimentation. They did many experiments on me in love. They were experimenting on blonde girls next to my face ruined to ask if my ex-partner finds them more attractive in a really horrific, degrading KFC ritual to find out who they love more. And I think that's dance. I don't think it's the music. I am punished and humiliated as a weed next to apples, and I've been stalked, and to all of my letters and connections, they are receiving my mail, and I'm telling you I'm in a scary situation and you're not believing me. I want someone to believe me because I'm not getting my driver's license in the mail. It actually got sent back this time, but when I'm in my home, they're taking my driver's license and my bank statements. So now they've got access to all my email accounts by stealing my phones day in, day out. They are really doing organised crime. And when I lived in that house, they did organised crime. Recently, that I was a bad person and dirty and basically took they robbed me, all of my stuff in my house. Like they robbed all of my information on my phones. They've robbed about 3 or 4 phones out of that house. and one of them was down at Cash Converters, burning me alive in a pool that I'm very gross, and oh gross, what a gross woman, is a crime. Disemboweling. Have you seen my intestines? That is a cruel, unusual punishment. It fails to meet social decency. Have you seen them call me the It X and then show me shitting with this very aggressive man saying look at her and making people vomit? Did you see me as Bubba having sex? That is cruel crime, rape, torture, humiliating. Fatism, ageism, telling my cousins I am inferior and negative, toxic, and they have the moral rights to themselves to leave me alone as I am negative and toxic in my behaviour when the system's failed me. Up close photos of me humiliating me next to my family that I'm ugly. Because my face got ruined, it's very hard for me to communicate because I feel like you've made me feel like the world does not approve of my face after years and years of violence and destroying my real human connections with people. This is the very thing that I've been very much grieving over is human connection, that they're really taken away from me. And the injustice is they took all my work in Australia. Ongoing bullying, harassment, breaking down my esteem and love language and trust between my family from a political regime where I am being projected as a slut and a used up larder next to her 24-karat gold Barbies. This is my attributes in my CV. Reliable, professional, a good listener, connect with people on the phone. So that story of me and that girl, that shows I know how to connect with humans. I've done data entry. I just want you to know these jobs have all different ways to communicate. So I haven't put my cafe work here, but anything to do with hospitality is a lot more relaxed and a lot more easygoing, and you get your customers that you know every day, and it's very relaxed. You can have a good banter and have some sense of humour with them. Whereas in this kind of job, you have to you've got 5 minutes to understand what's wrong with the person and to identify what that person needs and put it on a scale of 1 to 10 of how much of an emergency they are going through and connect them with what they need and re-establish their power to get them out of crisis mode and into productive mode. Data entry and sales and emotional development. Well, this was warm calling. I had to call up, it was a boutique sales of educational CDs, and we basically had this basically a bit of paper like this that we would read like a robot what this person needed, and there were different ways I think there was about 3 different ways to greet the person, and it was basically a script we had to read out and try and get in warm sales, and then you would use your own persuasive powers, which was fine. I had no problem doing that. Nannying. This is also a different way to talk to children. I got taught that you have to establish to the children respect and boundaries straight away so that they respect you as an adult, so that you can lead and help them create a good relationship where things get done and they can look up to you. But you've also got to, once you've created this, you've established that, then you can relax and be free to be caring with the children. You can't at the start though. You've got to kind of create this boundary with the children so that they understand that you're there to be listened to, and they've got to respect. So like, I have had one lot of children that was so hard at the start because the mother was very, very strict about the television, and I could not get them to respect me. It was such a difficult phase, and the mother was such a great support for me. She just was saying I had to hang in there and keep being stern until they respected me, and they did in the end. But what I'm saying is I've gone through a lot of torture and prolonged detention and unfairly and in these court cases, and it's just everything's been silenced like it's my fault, but it's neglect. I've been punished with this toilet video and sexual violence of my ass and my vagina. It's brutality. I'm not into this thug life, and I got abused. I'm being like laboured on cameras, and I want access to help. I've been traumatised, and I'm really like got some complex needs at the moment, and I'm not getting it in this country. And we're born with our birthright to be allowed to have the right to have support systems if we get, if we're falling in some certain area. And also we should have the right to have social groups and social friends, and I'm not allowed any, I want to leave the country because I'm not treated. I just feel like I was already murdered here, and I'm telling you, this toilet video is cruel and inhumane, degrading treatment carried out by police officers, heaving, hurling, gory videos of my vagina being mutilated, and treating me like I'm an old beaver vagina, just to erase parts of my connections, to be compassionate towards me, and to just see me as some old used up hag. It's heartbreaking, and I've got no one to validate my feelings. And I'm not saying that you should, but I shouldn't have a massive group of members stopping me from connecting to anyone else. It shouldn't be like only one person. Disdain for human rights, identification of enemies, and scapegoat supremacy of the military. These guys have been doing really inhumane experiments on me, and I'm not believed. But if you don't think I'm a refugee, look at this book. First they erased our name. And this kid, his fate was changed by billionaires that wanted to take over his land.